It's time now to learn a little bit about some of the drafting tools that are available to us. I'm going to go ahead and start a new drawing, and I want to call your attention down to this lower right hand corner of the screen. Now you'll probably see more tools than this in your controls. Let's go ahead and take a look at how we can make them visible or hidden. Let's use the customization button, and we can see that the only tools that are visible are the ones with check marks. And what I want to do is limit this list. I only really need 6 controls to talk about in this class. So go ahead and turn off all the check marks except for the ones that I have turned on: grid, snap mode, dynamic inputs, ortho, polar, and 2D object snap. All of the rest should be turned off. Let's take a look at what these buttons do. The first button is the grid button, and the grid is either displayed or not displayed by using this button. The second button is the grid snap mode, and grid snap, if it's turned on, will change the way that the drawing area behaves. Let's take a look. Using the line tool and zooming in, we can see that with snap mode turned on, I'm only allowed to click on points at those grid intersections. I'll hit escape to stop drawing lines. Now those grid intersections are there whether or not you can see the grid. Let's turn the grid off and draw another line. And you will see that I'm still constrained to those intersections of the grid. If I don't like that, I can draw some objects that are constrained, then turn that control off and continue drawing anywhere I please. Let's turn the grid on and see what happened. So you can see here that most of my points are on those grid locations. However, after turning the grid snap off, I'm able to click anywhere I'd like. The next control that I want to show you is the dynamics control. Now this is a pretty sophisticated tool. So I've turned it on. It goes back to AutoCAD's desire to create what they call a heads-up display. Let's see what happens when I start drawing a line. You'll notice immediately that there is a series of information there right next to my cursor. And as I draw, that set of information flies around the screen with my cursor. Personally, I find this to be rather annoying. I'm going to keep that dynamics off. And what I can see now is that my screen is much cleaner. I'm able to see what I'm drawing while I'm drawing it. I'm going to hit escape to turn the line command off. Dynamics affects us in other ways as well, and we'll come back to that later. The next command that I'd like to show you is the ortho command. With ortho turned on, my lines are locked in not to the grid, but to right angles and straight lines. I can only draw orthogonally, or straight up and down, and level, plumb or level. The next command I'm going to show you is the polar tracking. Now this one's going to compete with ortho, and it will override ortho. Let's take a look at what the flyout shows us. It allows us to pick different angles that the cursor will snap to. Every 5 degrees, every 10 degrees, every 15 degrees, every 18, every 23, or every 30. Let's take the 30 just to see how it behaves. I'm going to need to clean my screen off, so let me select everything and delete and draw some new lines. So you can see I can draw straight up. I also have inferences at the 0, the 30, the 60, and the 90. So that allows me to draw as if I was doing hand drafting with my 30 and 60 degree triangles. It locks me into those portions of the screen. Hit escape. The last control over here is known as O-snap. I'm going to turn ortho off. I'm going to turn off the polar tracking and leave just the object snaps turned on. So here my object snaps. Let's take a look at what these do. Drawing a line. As I draw a line, you'll notice that as I come to specific points of other geometry, like the end point or the perpendicular, those points will highlight with what's called an object snap. If I fly that list out, I can see that right now I have endpoint and perpendicular turned on. I also have quadrant turned on. This only comes into play with circles. But let's turn on midpoints and intersections as well. And as I come back over here to draw, my O-snaps, my object snaps, will tell me I'm at the endpoint. I'm at the perpendicular. I'm at the midpoint of another object. And I can use those to guide my drawing. These are a few of the most basic tools. There's lots of settings that are also inside of here. I can see that my grid and snap settings can be changed. We'll talk more about that later. I can also see that my object snap settings can be set to many different varieties. We'll play with this some more later as well. Gives you the opportunity now to start drawing with precision.